Russian forces, increasingly frustrated by failed assaults, have expanded the use of chemical weapons against Ukrainian troops. On 9 October, in an attempt to relieve encircled units near Pokrovsk, Russian combat engineers deliberately sabotaged the Tolyatti, Odesa ammonia pipeline near the village of Rusin Yar. The explosion released a toxic ammonia cloud intended to disorient and poison Ukrainian defenders. Ammonia, while not a scheduled chemical weapon, can cause respiratory irritation and death. This act of industrial sabotage is not an isolated incident, but a chilling escalation in Russia's ongoing chemical warfare against Ukraine, a campaign that flouts international law and tests global resolve. I'm former Navy SEAL Chuck Pfarrer, and today we'll deliver our third report on Russia's systematic and escalating use of chemical weapons, right now at the Kyiv Post's point of impact. The sabotage at the pipeline at Rusin Yar was a calculated move, timed with a massive Russian assault involving 6 tanks, more than 40 armored vehicles, and hundreds of Russian troops. This assault was intended to break through Ukrainian lines and rescue trapped Russian forces near Volodymyrivka. The Russians pushed forward. Toxic gases swept over the lines. No defensive fires came from Ukrainian positions. Had the chemical attack worked? Well, not so much. Ukraine's drone operators and troops were prepared, equipped with gas masks and protective equipment. They held their fire as the Russian forces came forward and lured them into a multivalent ambush. Within hours, over 60 vehicles lay in ruins, more than a company of Russian soldiers were dead, and the road to Volodymyrivka was littered with burning wrecks. This time, Ukrainian units were ready, but other outfits have not been so lucky. Rusin Yar is only the most recent incident showing Russia's reliance on chemical tactics to compensate for its faulting conventional warfare. This pattern is documented in over 9,000 chemical incidents since February 2022. Russia's use of chemical weapons in Ukraine is not new. We've been reporting on it for more than 3 years. But Russian attacks have grown in scale and sophistication. The Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Warfare, alongside Ukrainian intelligence and Western agencies, documented a range of chemical agents, including riot control gases like CS, CN, 2-chlorobenzylidene, and chloropictrin, a World War I-era choking agent. Russia deplores these war gases in violation of the Chemical Weapons Convention, which Russia signed in 1997. By mid-2025, thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have been hospitalized for exposure-related injuries, with symptoms ranging from respiratory distress to skin burns and pulmonary edema. Hundreds have been critically injured. An undisclosed number of Ukrainian troops have been killed by Russian chemical munitions. These weapons are also used to target Ukrainian civilians. A June 2025 incident near Shasherbaki, Zaporizhia, saw 15 school children evacuated after an exposure to chloropictrin. Water and food supplies, well, they're also Russian targets. Contaminated agricultural areas and civilian water treatment facilities have forced the evacuations of thousands of Ukrainian civilians. This confirmed by the UN, which says it has created a humanitarian crisis alongside Ukraine's military losses. The Rusin Yar pipeline sabotage fits this broader campaign, where industrial gases like ammonia and chlorine are weaponized for deniability. Similar tactics were used in 2023 near Kharkiv, where pipeline ruptures created toxic clouds, again to target Ukrainian defenses. When I was in Ukraine last month, an officer from the 93rd Mechanized Brigade described the tactic. He said, "They use gas to disrupt our positions, then exploit the chaos with drones or snipers. It's a low-cost way to break our lines without risking any Vatniks." Russian delivery methods have improved significantly. Initial attacks use K-51 and RGVO grenades dropped from drones to disperse CS gas. In Bakhmut and Chasiv Yar, Russian forces then used chemical shells, fired from 120mm mortars and 152mm artillery, increasing the range and the volume of chemical agents released. Russian FPV drones and modified commercial quadcopters now spray chemical payloads, including CS and other agents. Intercepted communications reveal the Russians are using improvised dispersal systems to maximize aerosol spread. Iranian-designed Shahed drones, rebranded as Garans, have been documented to carry chemical agents in strikes near Liman and Bakhmut. In December 2024, 3 Ukrainian soldiers, 2 near Bakhmut, 1 in Zaporizhzhia, died from acute poisoning by unidentified toxins, with autopsies suggesting organophosphate intoxication. This class of chemical is used in insecticides and nerve gas. Organophosphate agents disrupt the human nervous system and underscore Russia's inevitable escalation toward more lethal agents. While no incidents of the use of Russian nerve agent Novichok can be confirmed, the deaths of the 3 Ukrainian soldiers are fact, and these soldiers died as a result of exposure to nerve agent-like substances. Russia. Well, it denies that it has ever used chemical weapons, despite 9,000 documented cases and over 1,000 attacks directly verified by the OPCW. Ukraine's response to this chemical threat, well, it's a testament to its resilience, though resources are stretched thin across the 1,200-kilometer front. How seriously does Ukraine take these threats? Well, gas masks are now standard issue for frontline troops. Standard issue. Specialized Ukrainian units trained to detect and neutralize chemical threats, while specifically configured reconnaissance drones locate Russian mortar positions and chemical stockpiles. A July 2025 Ukrainian strike on a Moscow chemical manufacturing facility disrupted the production of chemical munitions and thermobaric weapons, showing that Kyiv takes the threat seriously enough to prioritize long-range precision strikes. However, medical shortages, antidotes, decontamination kits, and advanced detection systems remain a critical challenge for Ukraine, and hospitals are overwhelmed by exposure cases, which require victims to be decontaminated and isolated during treatment. The human toll is staggering. CS gas causes severe irritation to eyes, skin, and lungs, while chloropictrin's effects are more dire, leading to blistering of the mouth, tongue, esophagus, and bronchia. It can cause pulmonary edema and death. In confined trenches, concentrated exposure to Russian agents has led to deaths and permanent disabilities. Ukraine's Radiation, Biological, and Chemical Protection Command, led by Colonel Artem Vasiluk, has prioritized rapid response protocols, but the lack of advanced forensic tools hinders the identification of new agents and complicate the diagnosis and treatment of wounded soldiers. The international community's response? Well, not so much. The OPCW has verified prohibited agents in soil samples and munition fragments, with Director General Fernando Arias pledging robust verification. Big talk and few results. In July 2025, a report confirmed CS and chloropicrin use, but Russia's UN Security Council veto power has obstructed any comprehensive investigation. The EU and the UK imposed sanctions on Russian chemical entities, including the 27th Scientific Center and a Siberian munitions plant, while targeting generals and the owners of manufacturing plants. Dutch intelligence revealed direct orders from Russian High Command for chemical use, and concerns persist over possible Chinese precursor supplies, though evidence, despite its factual nature, is called inconclusive. The Chemical Weapons Convention explicitly bans chemical agents and riot control gases in warfare, yet enforcement remains weak. Some facts are more inconvenient than others. European agencies warn of Russia's expanded chemical research, with new laboratories and specialist recruitment signaling long-term investment. Where is the world's outrage? Good question. So the chemical warfare casualties, civilian and military, continue to mount. Russia's chemical warfare, typified by the Rusin Yar sabotage, is a tactical choice made to erode Ukrainian morale, disrupt defenses, and test Western resolve. By exploiting industrial gases and deniable agents, Russia seeks to bolster the sagging combat effectiveness and the failure of its summer offensive. The confirmed deaths from unidentified toxins raise fears of a slide toward nerve agents, a red line that could reshape the conflict's international dynamics. But without decisive action, enhanced sanctions, robust OPCW investigations, or increased material support for Ukraine, the normalization of chemical warfare risks spilling beyond Ukraine and undermining global security. For Ukrainian troops and civilians, the fight is personal. They face an enemy willing to poison the air they breathe. Yet, Ukrainian adaptability through drone warfare, chemical training, and sheer guts has blunted Russians' ambitions. The Russian defeat at Volodymyrivka is a stark reminder. Russia's chemical gambits, while brutal, are not invincible. But the West needs to stand up. Hey, for the Kyiv Post, I'm Navy SEAL Chuck Pfarrer. I'm going to see you again at the point of impact.